All right, I just want to go through a quick little PSpice introduction. We're just going to do a simple circuit. I'll launch PSpice. We're using the OrCAD Capture CIS Lite here application. You can download this for free if you're a student. If you go to the OrCAD website, you can just search on Capture CIS Lite. You do have to put some student information in, and this is a free version of the software that I'm running. So I've already got it installed on my machine. I'm running this on Windows 10. There is not a Mac version, so if you're a Mac person, you'll need to either get your hands on a PC or run Windows in a virtual environment on the Mac. So let's get this started. I've already got it installed, as I said. I'm gonna double click here on Capture CIS Lite, and software loads up. It's very Windows-y looking, if that makes any sense. I am a Mac person primarily. But okay, we've got the main screen loaded up here. So we go up to File, New, and Project. Okay. And we have some different options here. PSpice Analog or Mixed AD, PC Board Wizard, Programmable Logic Wizard, or Schematic. Okay, we want to run this one, PSpice Analog or Mixed AD. The only other one you may use, at least in an introductory course, is Schematic. And what Schematic does is it lets you draw the circuit, but you can't simulate it. So we want to draw this thing and we want to simulate it. So we give it a name. I'm going to give mine a name, Lab1. Okay, and down here you can see there's a location. By default, your files get stored in this location. There's a subfolder off of the desktop called PSpice Tutorials. I think I've made that myself, actually. I think that's a directory I put together, but you can either use the default location or you can create a new folder to store your stuff. So I'm going to click OK here. Okay. And it's going to ask us if do we want to create based on an existing project? No, we're starting from scratch. This is our first project. So I'm going to click create a blank project here. I'm going to say OK. And the schematic interface comes up now. Okay. And what we do is we can use this interface now to go in and draw our circuit. Okay, but before we do that, we have to load up some libraries. There's a whole bunch of libraries that come with the software. And if it's the first time you're using PSpice on your machine, you have to add components to the library. So I'm going to go over here. See what I did here? I clicked this little place part, a little plus sign icon here. And this window popped up here. I'm going to select Add Library, hovering over Add Library. I click it. And you can see there's a whole bunch of libraries listed here. Okay, we're just going to load up 3. We're going to load up one called eval. So I can search, and we want eval.olb. I'm going to say open. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add analog.olb. And there's one more we're going to add, and that's source. Oops. I'm on the wrong. I got to click add library again, and I'm going to select source. Source.olb. I'm going to say open. Okay, and what these are basically, these libraries include the parts we're going to use for this circuit. Okay, for this simple circuit, it's enough. As we get into some of the more advanced stuff, we'll be using some of the additional libraries with additional parts. Okay. All right. Now what do? Okay, we're going to highlight all 3 of these libraries. Okay, and we're going to start searching on them. Okay. So let's build our circuit. I'm going to put a resistor in first. So I'm going to put an R here. Okay. And see, we got R analog highlighted here. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, select resistor first by putting R in the part box. We're going to select R analog by we're going to double click on this. Okay, and what that's going to allow me to do because that's going to allow me to place the resistor here. Okay. All right. Now I can make the resistor vertical. See how the whole thing is highlighted? It's all pink here. I'm going to click escape here. Okay. If I click R here now, see I flip the resistor around. Horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. I'm just hitting the R key on my keyboard. I'm going to leave it in vertical position here. By default, excuse me, let me zoom in a little bit on this here. By default, it's given a, I guess, an identification of R1, and it has a value of 1 k ohm. Okay. If you want to change it, you can go in and change the value of that resistor. Let's make it 10 k ohms. Okay. Now we want to add a DC voltage supply. So I'm going to go back over here again to my part list. I'm going to type in VDC. There it is right there, VDC source. And I'm going to stick that right here. By default, that has a value of 0 volts DC, and it's given a label of V1. I'm going to make it 10 volts DC. So I just double click on it, put 10 in, click it. Okay, so now I got 10 volts DC. Okay, we're going to place wire now. Okay, see this little icon right here? If I hover over this thing over here on the upper right, place wire W. Okay, I can now go in and I can start adding wires to this thing. I click on one end of the DC supply here, and I'm clicking on each of my corners. There we go. Okay, and let's go to another one now. Let's go here, here, here. Okay, and we've completed our circuit. All right, I hit escape. And we've got our circuit built right now. There's one other thing we have to do. We have to have a ground. We have to add a ground. We have to have a reference here. If I go over again to the I guess these are the featured parts or the most popular parts. I'm going to click place ground. And we want to select this one, 0 cap sim. Okay. And we'll leave the symbol as 0. We could call it ground if we want, but I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to stick that right here. Okay, so hit escape again. And we've got our circuit built right now. Okay, so now we've got our circuit built, we've got ground, we've got the proper voltages, voltage source value, and we've got the proper resistor value that we want to use for this circuit. Now what we want to do is we want to select the new simulation button, okay? And so we're going to create a new simulation profile. I'm up here up on the top, upper left here, hovering over this little sine wave looking icon. I'm going to click this, okay? And we're going to create a new simulation. I'm going to call it Lab Sim 1, okay? And I'm going to select create. Okay, and the simulation window opens up. That's what this is right here now. And you want to make sure the analysis type is set to time domain transient. Okay. We're going to leave this as general settings. Okay, the options are general settings. Okay, and we're going to select apply. And I'm going to select OK. Okay, see what happens? The simulate button lights up here. Okay, I can run PSpice. So let's click it. All right, so what just happened? Well, first of all, if you look down at the bottom of my taskbar, this little thing popped up. Okay. It's a little graph window. We're not going to worry about that now, but when we get into some of the more advanced circuits, we will. But this kind of gives you the equivalent of an oscilloscope output. I'm just going to minimize it. We could close it if we want, but I'll just minimize it. But if you look here, up here at the top, you can see there's a V icon available now. It's not grayed out anymore. There's an I, and there's a W. Voltage, current, power. Okay, so let's click the V one. See what we got here? We got 10 volts on this node, 0 volts on this node. That's what it's showing you. How about current? What should our current be? We got a 10 volt DC supply, 10K ohm resistor, using Ohm's law. What current is voltage divided by resistance. So it's 10 divided by 10,000. That's what? 1 milliamp? That's what our calculation is. Let's see what happens if we click I here. Here we go, 1 milliamp. So we got 1 milliamp in the circuit here. Okay. Now, there's a few things I want to just mention here. The voltages here are with reference to the ground. Okay, so we got 10 volts here on the upper node, and we had defined this lower node as 0 volts or ground. So we've got 0 volts here. So all your voltages are going to be with reference to ground. As far as current goes, okay, notice where the current is displayed here. Okay, it's above R1 here, which indicates current is moving from this direction from top to bottom. Okay, so it's moving, and this is conventional current flow, plus to minus. So we're dropping 10 volts across the 10K ohm resistor. So our current is flowing in the downward direction. When we get over here, what happens? Same thing. You can see our current flow. Our current is flowing through the battery from the bottom to the top. So our current here is flowing in a clockwise direction in our circuit here. If we had made this voltage a negative 10 volts, we'd see current in the opposite direction. Okay, we can also click the W, power. Okay, 10 milliwatts. Okay, I squared R, V squared divided by R, you get your power calculations. So we end up with 10 milliwatts here. Okay, now notice we've got a no negative sign here. We got a negative sign on the voltage source. Okay, when it comes to power, negative 10 milliwatts. We got a plus 10 milliwatts here. What does that indicate? In PSpice, a positive power value indicates power is absorbed, and a negative power value indicates power is being supplied. So that's just our simple little circuit here. There's other things we could add. We could add probes here, and if we add some probes, we could get into the graphical display. But again, simple little explanation. Hope this makes sense. Thank you.